experts, relative to COVID-19 is that we seem to be too centered in the Greater Accra region. And so on Friday, for instance, mad traffic, people going out of Accra. And so you are concentrated in Accra, keeping people off the beaches and so on. But the people are going out of Accra. And, considering the fact that the Greater Accra region is the epicenter, you risk having, more cases in other regions if we don't sort of replicate.
Well, we hope that the other commands would follow what the Greater Accra Regional Command is doing and do a similar thing. At least Nani Aljima reported from Kumasi yesterday with the church services. It looks like protocols were being followed, and so we can only hope that we all do the right thing. But listen, it's a holiday, so we don't have newspapers, physical newspapers in the studio. So what we're going to do is to just do myjoyonline.com. We're going to go online. We'll start from home. My Joy Online is our first stop. We'll tell you the stories making headlines on the page. Manuel?
Yes, Mama V. And before I do, I don't know if you remember that story of the 2 teenagers who killed a 10-year-old boy.
Oh, yeah.
Really tragic. And you're wondering what people are thinking. Yeah, teenagers. They want money. Anyways, let me take you to myjoyonline.com. The top story here, Alban Bagbin appears to be demonstrating machoism in Parliament. That's attributed to the majority leader, Osei Mensah Bonsu. And he spoke to MFR Pau last night on The Probe, a really pregnant interview. If you've not seen it, I think you should see it.
We brought highlights in our news where he talked about, MFR was trying to push him to figure out what number he is in the country. Apparently, he does not have a number.
But what's your number?
I am number 1, actually.
Oh, where?
Listen.
In a country?
We all collectively give the number 1 power. So we are the original number 1.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Technically.
What? Technically. What is technically?
But realistically.
Listen, we are the kingmakers. We're powerful.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
You see him, you want to say.
So you're number 1. Well, let me continue with my headlines. Attacks on minority leadership and calls for a change unfortunate, still attributed to Osei Mensah Bonsu. And, an interesting highlight of the Easter festivities in the Volta region, a village called Apetoku. A village called actually Dagbamate.
Yes. Ivy's story.
Dagbamate. And, they have this shrine, a church-like shrine, which could take more than 500 people in there. And they are also worshipping not the resurrection of Christ, but their own gods. And they do it every Easter Sunday. Interesting read.
My only concern, though, no respect for any of the protocols.
Absolutely.
Zilch.
They threw that to the dogs. But again, if you hear, and this cannot be backed by science, but if you hear their chief priest explain, he says that in the town, the gods actually take care of them. Nobody steals there. Nobody litters. Nobody, commits abortion.
So coronavirus is afraid of such an environment.
If we want to extrapolate from what he says, no coronavirus.
Well, I just think that it really doesn't matter what your belief system says. What matters is that, again, you remember we're talking about, I was saying that if other regions would copy what the Greater Accra Region Police Command is doing in terms of tightening enforcement of the protocols, then that would be good. That's what they should have done, really, because
definitely.
We really don't care if you feel that you won't get it or you're safe. What we care about is that there's a piece of regulation and we must all abide by it.
Definitely.
I'm happy for them that they're celebrating what they're celebrating, but it is totally not right that they disregarded the protocols. Absolutely not right.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you all through. And if you situate that in the context of what other countries are doing, for instance, in the UK, the Media Regulatory Authority there fined the Love World Incorporated, the media house operated by Pastor Chris and the Christ Embassy Church, £125,000 for spreading conspiracies around the COVID-19 pandemic and then the vaccine. So, I mean, other countries are trying to crack the whip on people who seem to be, in our context, we say, pouring sand in their gari, you know? Yeah. But we don't see so much. Earlier, we saw that in 2020 when some pastors were jailed and so on and so forth. That's something that we should be looking at. 1 killed, 4 others injured in a Ejisu Roundabout accident. It is illegal to increase rent rate without approval of Department of Rent Control. A very good morning to my landlord. I hope you can hear.
How much did he take from you? How much advance did you pay?
I don't want to lose my house today.
No, don't worry. I'll give you a room in my house.
Please, I beg. A bed in hand, eh?
Say it.
Yes, but that's it. I mean, we see a lot of landlords go against that.
Say we live it.
That's actually our life. And I don't know, but you know, like fresh graduates, some unemployed, some trying to find their feet. And you say for a 1-bedroom apartment with kitchen and a washroom and so on, I should pay 400 cedis, 500 cedis, and I should pay 2 years. Yeah, you don't want to make her live the life so if you take
did he put a gun to your head?
What you rather do? And that's it. Because really that space is controlled by the forces of demand and supply.
Yeah.
Of course, you can sit and then of course in the NPP manifesto, we heard them say something about enforcing the regulations and introducing new ones and all that. But the space is regulated by demand and supply. When people don't have places to sleep and they can afford 2 years, they will not sleep on the streets and wait for a government to. And that's it. But I think that we should be humane a bit, you know, for a young girl like me. I mean, Mama, if they do it to you, yes, but me, nah.
Well, listen, I have some friends. At least my friend Caroline. So she and her husband, they have, you know, some beautiful apartments that they are renting, and they are really cool with it. It's very flexible. You decide how many months that you want to. You can do a year, or you can decide that you want to pay them 2 years. So there are a few people out there, except that you have to look really hard to find them. Yeah.
And so I'm saying it again. Very good morning to you, Papa Landlord.
What's his name?
It's Yao.
All right, let's finish up the stories on myjoyonline.com.
Yes, so more stories on myjoyonline.com. Work on Daboya Bridge to commence this year, and that's Dr. Baumia speaking. And that's why we were referring to heavy security presence at some beaches in Accra over the weekend as we marked the Easter festivities. And also there's a story about the 10-year-old boy who was murdered.
That's so tragic.
Yeah.
Absolutely tragic. So they say some fetish priests in the Volta region asked them to bring body parts, and they decided to go and kill this innocent child. And yes, this is happening in Kaswa, but then they said the fetish priest is a fetish priest in the Volta region. So the police is looking for this fetish priest. But what would... Hey, they took him to an uncompleted building.
Yes.
Just smacking. Wow.
It's terrible. And if you listen to the account of the mother of the deceased boy, she says these are young boys who actually sometimes comes to her house to eat. She feeds them sometimes. And so they're almost like, you know, distant sons of hers that she fends for sometimes. And this is where it got to. I've seen on social media people calling for the National Media Commission to sort of close down media houses that give their platforms to traditionalists, for money doublers, but I think that's a bit much. You know, I think that we should properly, and it's not as though we don't have information about some of these things. And it will shock you to speak to some police officers, some people in places of authority, and they mention some of the names of these shrines and they tell you the things that happen there. My question is that we know what's happening there, why are we not doing anything about them? And, you know, I know that for the next couple of days, we're going to discuss this story, go back and forth. And the people in the town, the Kaswa area, say that if the boys are granted bail, they're going to lynch them. You know.
It's just that issues like this must be tackled from all angles, really. There's a societal or human thinking aspect of this. What would make two young persons decide that they want money, so they are going to a certain fetish priest. And it really doesn't matter what that priest tells them to do, they're going to do it, including killing, taking a life. You know, that's kind of thing. We must, I get it that we're talking about the regulatory, you know, don't get a fetish priest on a TV station or a radio station to talk about what they do. But if we don't also tackle this one, which I think is core, really, then it really doesn't matter. They will still go behind. After all, people are doing it. They don't only follow those who come on TV or radio. They go anyway. They go looking for them. Once they're looking for money.
In Benin, for instance, that do not advertise in Ghana.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, yes, it's not so much about advertisement. Yes.
But what will make young people? These are young people want to kill so that they can make money.
There seems to be this erroneous trend of people making it. And yesterday I posted on social media that, you know what, you're a young boy, you're a young girl. I mean, it's okay if you don't have your entire life figured out just yet. Of course, some people have gone a bit ahead and have done great for themselves even at very young ages. But we're all not the same. Absolutely. We all can't figure out our lives at 20, at 22, at 23. And so, yes, it's okay insofar as you're trying your best, you're doing what you can do. I mean, you should ask the people, the big men and big women. I mean, everybody has a story. And so there's no pressure at all for you to make it at, what, 18, 16?
So we're just, you know, showing you pictures of a family of this boy whose life was taken at a young age of, what, 11? All because two other young people, 10 years? Okay. Two other people wanted money and they used him, really. Manuel, let's also look at this other story with the dolphins. This was in the news on radio. What's the latest update? So is it a certain poisonous substance that was poured into the sea that's suddenly washing these? Is that it?
Well, these are the suspicions that the folks in the coastal areas have. But we're told that the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture, together with the Environmental Protection Agency and the Fisheries Commission, are launching investigations into this particular incident because it happened only in Accra. The same thing happened in Keta and in Axim also. In Axim, these were dolphins. Yeah. You know, in Osu, you had herrings and so on. But dolphins, really, over 60 dolphins. 60 dolphins. And so, I mean, it waits to be seen what really is happening there. But, well, I've done a bit of reporting along the beaches, and then you hear of Psycho, you hear of, you know, the trawlers that are on the high seas using some harmful chemicals and so on and so forth. They mention other experts from other countries and all that. But I think that this is a time that we need to take this seriously. In the past 4 years, we've seen some work. Of course, we had a closed fishing season. It was all to safeguard the fishes in there and keep our catch wholesome in subsequent years. We can now be dealing with some of them, I don't know if to say losing their lives on time, you know, at some point that they shouldn't be.
So over 60 of the dolphins, big fishes, have been washed ashore. And this is Greater Accra. This is Central Region, this is Volta Region, because we're talking about Keta, we're talking about Briwa in Axim, we're talking about Osu in Accra as well. But what is also worrying is the fact that regulators fear that these fishes may even be on the market. So they're asking all of us to watch out. You know, one of my colleagues this morning, Rama, just said that the dolphins, because I heard that they're killing some of them. You know, they're actually chopping some of the dolphins. I was wondering, do we eat those? And then Rama reminded, they'll use it for more money. Listen, it might sound like a joke, but before you know it is happening.
Yeah.
So we all have to be careful.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. And you said what? Herrings? The one in Osu. Yeah, you'll find them on the market. Somebody will fry them and make it look nice on some... Charlie. If you do that, you're wicked.
Christ didn't die for this.
Yeah.
I mean, we are celebrating the resurrection of Christ.
Absolutely.
Christ didn't die for this. If you have any of those, you want to give them to the Fisheries Commission, the EPA. We know the FDA is also tapping in to try and investigate this.
But they say if it's too cheap, don't buy it. I think that's again, the fish is too cheap. Yeah. I wonder how many people would hear this and listen properly, because so these what we are showing you is from Osu. This is what they discovered in Osu in terms of the fishes washed ashore because of what we actually don't know, whether poisonous substance poured into the sea or wherever, but it happened along the coastlines of Keta, Osu, Axim, and then the western region and some other parts. So there you have it. Depending on the area, you'll find different fishes, I guess. So some of the fishes. And so I don't know what we can do to all be careful and beware so that you don't buy some of these fishes that we actually haven't even discovered the cause yet. Let's take care of ourselves and take care of each other.
Yeah. I mean, we owe it to ourselves.
Yeah.
But Malvi, we can't go without talking about this story. Fault on Tema East transmission line caused Saturday's power outage. This is
still on myjoyline.com.
Yes, on myjoyline.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And Gridco released a statement Sunday morning and explained that around 11:06 p.m., one of its transmission lines on the Tema Accra East flow fell around Chasako, and that's the reason that a major part of Accra at that time went black, and they explained that this is not part of the construction projects that they talked about. Pukwase Kaswa. This is actually a transmission line that fell, and they've explained, say they are working to restore. And so as of yesterday morning, the areas that were affected, most of them were being served with 50% of their regular demand, but they say they're working to restore full.
Okay. So do we know the areas affected?
Yes. So, I mean, major parts. In fact, the entire Awushi, Kaswa, Madina, Chasako, East Legon. I mean, all these areas were affected.
Wow.
But it was restored in part. We are hoping that we can continue.
It's just a bit confusing. You actually don't know if it's power outage due to a faulty wire or they're doing some works. Because even before this announcement, even before we got to this point where everybody accepted that, yes, there's a challenge, some of us were already experiencing the low voltage. And that's a regular happening. So sometimes it really doesn't matter the explanation that you give, because it doesn't really make sense, to a lot of people. But if this is what they say, we have to take what they say, I guess. So hopefully they can restore power to these areas.
Yes.
I'm not sure I experienced this yesterday, though. I know that the power goes off often, a lot. It comes back, but it goes off. And as for my low voltage thing there, that one there is every day. Every day. It's been like that for years. Yeah.
So you have like volt guards that keep your...
So you'd see that, because some of the things, I don't know if it's my fence wire, but you hear the noise when it goes down. You hear this beep, and it happens often in the day. So you know when you experience the low voltage. And if you have a fan on, you see that it slows down, it picks up, the speed picks up again, and that happens like all the time. I've been there for 4 years.
That's terrible.
That's how it's been like.
Wow. Yeah, Bobby, someone says this is not a regular doom. So this is a different kind of
please,
doom.
let's not start polishing it. It is what it is. It is doom so. Okay. All right. We can make time. So we've done myjoyonline.com. I think the stories on the graphic portal is pretty much the issue of the dolphins and those fishes washed ashore. It's also here. There's light ahead of you and no man can dim it. This is directly to the vice president. And I guess because of the person he was with yesterday, some people were also trying to say a few things, but let me not be the one to hype that. Let's just say the vice president with some NPP persons.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of ministers, MPs, yeah. So all of them.
All right, and the Kaswa story is also there. 2 teenagers arrested for alleged money ritual is also there on the graphic online portal. Let's quickly check out what's on City Newsroom as well before we do the BBC. So we're working to ascertain cause of fish deaths at Osu Beach. That's the Fisheries Ministry there. EPA begins investigations after dead fish washed ashore at Osu. Is this a consolidated kind of investigation, or we have these different bodies all doing their own things?
We see some sort of collaboration among all of them, but of course all of them each of them has its own internal mechanism that it uses, the FDA, the EPA, and so on. So yes, we're expecting results from them.
Well, here's Franklin Kojo-Ofimani. He says be careful to avoid implosion over recent disputes within minority. All right. Let's see if we can do the BBC as well. The BBC. Twice weekly COVID test offered to all in England. I think I can share a little bit of that story on the page. Everyone in England is to be given access to 2 rapid coronavirus tests a week from Friday under an extension of the government testing program. The lateral flow kits, which can provide results in around 30 minutes, will be available for free at testing sites, pharmacies, and through the post. The health secretary said it will help squash any outbreaks as lockdown eases. But critics of the program say it risks becoming a scandalous waste of money. It comes as Boris Johnson is due to meet the cabinet to sign off the next stage of lockdown easing in England, which will see non-essential shops reopen and pubs and restaurants start serving outdoors from 12th of April.
Yeah.
This is very different from what is generally happening in Europe. Because some are under lockdown. In fact, Easter was tight in certain areas, but because of what England has done with the jabs. There were talks actually of this whole jab passport or certificate, and if you haven't done it, then you can't go to certain areas, or you have to prove that you have a negative result within a certain time before you can go to certain places.
And the World Health Organization last week chided, for want of better expressions, if you like, reprimanded the European Union. They've been sort of sluggish in administering the jabs. Of course, some of them were numbering about 12 or so, suspended the use of the AstraZeneca jabs and so on, all of which have been discounted. So, I mean, we're hoping that, and it seems to be a bigger play on the international bloc, so, an extensive play of geopolitics around the jabs. And so, well, as Africans, what we can do is to hope that this play does not affect our access to the jabs, because it's something that actually came up. Dr. Kwame Ejisu he's made a point that we may delay in getting access to the jabs because of what's happening in the global community, the European Union against the UK and so on.
When the big guys fight, we tend to suffer. But we're looking forward to the booster though, because most of us would have to take the second jab in April. What's your second date?
My second date is on 5th May.
Okay. I am ending of April, 30th or so. So, yeah.
Wish you all the best. May the jabs arrive.
Oh, they will arrive. They will arrive. That's so we're done. Okay. They said we should go. We're going to do some other stories on on the BBC. But that's it, really. Thank you, Manuel. How's your holiday like?
Well, my holiday is workish.
That's boring.
Why is it boring?
Really? Like, you're working the whole day?
Yeah, well, like half day. But I hope it
and
goes
then after that?
And then after that...
You take your girlfriend out?
I don't have a girlfriend. But I don't have a girlfriend, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't.
By announcing that, are you looking?
Well, you're saying, not me.
How am I saying? I'm asking you.
Okay, you're asking. Well, I've not decided. When I decide. Yeah.
You're single and proud and not looking.
Oh no! Did I say I'm not looking? I'm just saying I've not decided if I am or not.
I have some questions for you though, because today I'm talking about retirement. Have you seriously, because you're pretty young, have you thought about retirement?
Yes. In fact, while I was on the University of Ghana's campus, I used to host a show called Labour Front.
Okay.
Essentially on labor issues and how people exit the active, service the country. I mean, at the time, people were receiving as little as 250 Ghana cedis, 300 cedis a month after serving the country. And you'd have to serve at least 20 years before you qualify for pensions. And so people had served that long and they're taking 300 cedis and so on. And so, I mean, it's a multifaceted, conversation. There's a leg on the employers, especially in the private sector, some of who dodge SNED contributions on behalf of their employees. There's a leg also of transfer of the monies from Controller and Accountant General Department to SNED. Some also on the tier 2, when private fund managers are giving the monies to hold in store for them. I mean, so
I see where you are, where you're angling this question, but I want to make it a very personal and family conversation today. So I'm asking you, as Manuel Kranting, do you know how many? And maybe you can help with the 3 essential questions that I'm asking today. Do you know how much annual salary you would need to stop working?
Yeah, to stop working.
So, knowing that question would determine whether or not you're on track.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, how do you know you're on track?
Well, I know that right now I'm not on track. That one.
And then, okay, so that's good. At least that's a good place to start. And then, are you very confident of having enough money for a comfortable retirement?
Well, I'm just starting my active service, and so plans are far advanced in putting together a comfortable retirement.
So I was just reading that you would need 8 years, 8 times your annual salary to retire. Okay, 8 of that. And a lot of us, we know that in Ghana, if you don't have a side, something going on, the monthly salary in the yes.
I mean, it's done before it arrives.
Yeah.
So people, that you're going to pay Kwame's school fee. You know that, hello, my landlord again. You know that you're paying. and there's food, and food takes a chunk of the money. There's transportation, there's electricity.
See?
And Charlie.
Yeah. All right. Fortunately, the man who's joining us today, he's the managing director of EDC, that's EcoBank Development Corporation, and he is a personal finance person. He's been doing this for years, so he's going to help us with this conversation. We're going to get very practical. So gather around. We need husbands and wives to join in this conversation.
Can't wait.
Yeah. And all young people as well. If you just finished school, if you're a young graduate, if you're an entrepreneur, you don't have a formal job, but you will certainly retire someday. You can't keep working the rest of your life. Sometimes we can even retire rather very early. It's a conversation for all of us. Yeah. So you've got to be with us after sports. But right now, though, we have to bring you sports.